Hello everyone, in this session, let's understand functions in Python. Set of instructions to perform a specific task which is packaged in a single module called function. We will understand it in detail in this session. Python functions are of two types. One is built-in, another is user-defined. We have already used a number of built-in functions, for example print, to print any statement in the console, input function to receive any input from user via console. Today we will learn what is user-defined functions and how a programmer can define a function. Let's see the syntax first. DEF is a keyword to define user-defined function in Python. We will provide the function name and a open and close braces, colon, and the code segment we want to include within that function. This will be a set of instructions. We have to make sure that this code segment does a specific job or accomplish a specific job. That is the reason we are writing in the definition that it's a set of instructions, which is nothing but the code segment, to perform a specific task packaged in a single module. So this function is nothing but a module which is packaging this code segment to perform a specific task. Let's understand the example. DEF is the keyword. Greet, I have given a function name. Remember, the function name best practices are exactly same as variable best practices. So we will be using snake case for our function name. All will be in small, and if there are multiple words, it will be connected with with underscore. After this, we have put some code segment here. This code segment can have hundreds of lines to perform a specific job. Now this is the way we can define an user-defined function. What is the purpose of it? If we write an user-defined function once, we can use it multiple times throughout our Python code. That's the benefit. It is giving us the reusability of the same code segment throughout our Python code. How to call this function? We have to just call this function with its name. So this is the way how we can call a function. And this is the way how we can define a function. There are a number of user-defined function types. There could be function to perform specific task. There is a way to write a function so that it can return some value. We can write some function with parameters as well. Let's understand them one after other through some examples. This is the example of a function which performs a specific task. What it is doing, it is greeting the user. We have a print statement within this function. This is the function definition. We have understood DEF is the keyword. We have to use it for defining a user-defined function. And print is the actual code segment which will be executed within that function. How to call the same function? We can just call by its name. Here, the function name is greet_user. We have used snake case to adhere the best practice of writing the function name. What it will do? It will print hello everyone in the console. Let's understand how can we return some value from a function. This is also similar approach. You have to use def keyword to define a function. But here, as you can see, instead of print, I have used return statement. This return is also a keyword which returns a particular item from a function. In this case, it is returning a string, which is nothing but hello everyone. How we can call this function? By its name, greet underscore user. However, as this function is returning some value, we should have some variable to store it. Message is the variable which is actually storing whatever this greet underscore user function is returning, which is nothing but hello everyone. If we print the message now, we can see hello everyone in the console. Both of first example and the second example are doing the same job. It is printing into the console. But which one to use? We will always prefer to use the second one. Why? Because after getting this returned value from the function into message variable, we can do anything. Instead of print, we can send an email to the user as well. There is no built-in function for sending email. We can have one more user-defined function to send actual email. But this statement I have written as an example so that you can understand. If we return some value, we can do anything with that value. However, if we print the value within the function itself, there is no other way to use the same function. So second case will enhance the reusability of the function. Let's take the third case. Till now, if you see, all our braces were empty. However, in the third case, if you see, we have set some parameters within that braces. This type of function is called function with parameters. And we can use the same variable. Parameters are nothing but the variables, and we can use the same variables in our code segment within that function. In this case, we are taking two parameters. One is dividend and another is divisor, and we are performing the division operation and printing out the result. To call this type of function like this. For each parameter, we will provide some argument. If we are putting some parameters here for our use case, obviously we have to pass the arguments for those parameters or the values for those parameters. In this case, we have passed 4 for dividend and 2 for divisor. And the division operation will happen. It will print 2 as its output. What is the benefit? It enhances the reusability further. How? The same function we can call with different set of values as well. We can call the same function with different values. Now, what will be the output? Again, the output will be 2. So, we will write the function once and we can utilize or reuse the same function as and when needed with our specific arguments. That's the benefit of function with parameter. Let's understand keyword argument. Functions with keyword argument. Here also we are using def keyword. This is common to all the function definitions. We are passing some parameters here within the function. In our previous case, to call the function. Here 4 goes to dividend, 2 goes to divisor. Why? Because it is maintaining the sequence. Always 4 is going to the very first parameter, 2 is going to the next parameter. However, in keyword argument, we can change the sequence as well. If you see here, ideally divisor has to be sent in the as the second argument. However, here we are sending it as a first argument. Even then it will work. That's the beauty of keyword arguments. We can pass these arguments in any sequence now, because we are associating the actual keyword or the parameter name with the argument. Here also result will come as 2. It will basically perform 4 divide 2 and not 2 divides 4. Now remember one thing, if we are passing 2 parameters here, we have to pass 2 arguments while calling that function. If we are passing 5 parameters here, we have to pass 5 arguments while calling that function. That's the rule. However, in some cases, if we have some default values for few parameters, during the definition of the function, we can pass the default values for few parameters. Here, if you see, we are passing divisor as 2. Then 2 will be the default value for divisor. In this case, even though we have provided 2 parameters here in the definition, while calling, we are calling it with one single argument. Why? Because the second argument has the default value already. If we want to use the default value for some parameters, we may not pass it while calling that function. However, we can pass and override the default value of a parameter as well. So in the very first case, 4 will be going to the dividend and 2 will be the divisor. Result will be 2 here. In the second case, 9 will be the dividend and 3 will be the divisor, not 2. 2 was the default value. However, we have replaced it by 3. Now it will take 3 as divisor, not 2. So the result will come as 3. Let's understand one more interesting type of function in Python. Suppose you do not know how many parameters you have to pass while defining the function. In such cases, we can provide a variable argument. What is the benefit of this? This numbers parameter can receive any number of arguments. Till now, wherever we have defined parameters, we have to match the number of arguments and number of parameters we defined. Here in this variable argument functions, we don't have to know how many arguments we will pass in this function. While calling the function, if you see, I am passing a number of arguments. However, we are receiving all these arguments within a single variable called number. What is the difference between these two? Here, we have to understand that how many parameters we can pass in advance, and we have to pass that many arguments while calling that function. In this case, we are using a special character called asterisk or star in front of the variable name. And this is doing the actual magic. By star numbers, we are informing Python interpreter that in this function, we can pass any number of arguments we want. You have to receive all of them. How to use those numbers? We can use a for loop. For number is a variable. In numbers is nothing but the parameter where we have received all the arguments. And now we can sum them up together with this number and return the sum from this function. As we are returning sum from this function, while calling the function, we have to receive the sum, and that's the reason we have to provide some variable to receive the result. And result will have 7 plus 3, 10, and 7, which is nothing but 17. There is one more flavor of the variable argument functions in Python, where we use 2 asterisks instead of 1. The benefit of 2 asterisks are it can take key value pair as its input. The similar concept here also it is applicable. This args also can receive a number of arguments. However, it will receive all the arguments as key value pairs. The basic difference between these two are these numbers will take all the items as a tuple. This args will take all the items as dictionary. Thank you for watching this video.